Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Coffee with the Collins.
Where we're going to talk to you until the coffee gets cold or runs out, or our timer. We have a timer today.
I know.
It's not the digital, or not the big timer I wanted, but we set our timer for 20 minutes.
Oh, show YouTube.
Showing YouTube.
So we're on Facebook and YouTube. Just so you know, like, where we're looking and stuff.
Right, so let's start this bad boy.
So Judy gave us the idea, our friend Judy Winchester, gave us the idea of a little digital timer. So hey Judy, good morning.
There she is. She's watching.
I don't know if you saw, but Lee has the
digital sand timer that you showed.
He's got
so
that
thank
going.
you for that. So good morning, everybody. We're going to talk about the lovers, the haters, and the tweeners. The people who are like, can we call them tweeners? Is that okay? I don't even know if that, you know what, political correctness words, that I consider that newspeak, and I'm just not interested in any of that crap. So I'm going to call people what I want to call people.
Okay.
No, that's just the way it's going to be.
So let's explain what you mean by those
okay.
Exactly.
Let's explain it.
Let's get into it.
How are we going to explain it? So one of my mentors back in the day, I was teaching him online digital marketing, and he was teaching me to speak and present better from stage. So part of what he taught me, Robert Allen, shout out to you. Actually, we taught Robert how to tweet. So if you've ever read one of Robert's books, 1 Minute Millionaire, or I forget some of the others.
Which is an excellent book.
Yeah, Cash in a Flash. We helped with that. You'll see a mention in the back of that. So if you've watched, or if you know Robert Allen, basically what he told me is, he said, Lee, there's going to be people who love you, there's going to be people who hate you, and there's going to be those lukewarm people. And, you know, we started talking about the lukewarm people almost like a biblical way, because in the Bible, it says something like, I forget the verse, but it's like, be ye not lukewarm, or whatever, you know. Have the passion, have the fervor for what you're doing.
Swing one way or the other.
Yeah, just decide. Like, make up your mind. Like, do you hate that person? Do you love that person? And either way is okay. It doesn't really matter. Love is better, but if you hate them, it's cool too, because that's you. It's your decision. And the thing I've learned about love and hate is, if someone hates you, all it takes is one right trigger to make them love you. And vice versa. If somebody loves you, sometimes there are people in your life right now who love you, but they're waiting on you to make that one mistake that they consider that critical mistake. You know what? I love that person until they did that, and now they're done. And that's just the way people are sometimes. There's a fine line between love and hate. But the part that you don't want to be is the lukewarm part. You don't want the person who's like, they're okay. Because that person, they require convincing one way or the other. They require you to do the work for them, because they can't make up their own minds whether they love you or hate you. So one of the things that Robert told me is, he said, Lee, the best way for you to present on stage and do so much better with sales is realize that every audience, people are going to love you, people are going to hate you, people are going to be indifferent. But for the sake of discussion, one of the things we want to keep in mind is that, let's say there's an audience of 100 people. 50 of those people are going to love you, 50 of those people are going to hate you. And of those 50 people who love you, those are the people you should be talking to. Those are the people in the audience who are going to be nodding along with you and smiling and looking at you and making eye contact and really just engaging with you while you're on stage and while you're speaking to them. Thank you, Sherry. Good to see you. Love you too. So those 50 are going to be the people that you want to focus on. If you focus your energy on trying to sway the haters, you're wasting a whole lot of energy that should be going toward the people who actually love you. So if you're speaking to an audience of 100 people, find the 50 who love you. And of those 50, there's going to be about 10% who are going to want to buy from you and engage with you right now. So he said, look within those 50 people who love you and really make eye contact and find those 5 people who are going to buy right now. So 5 or 10 people, it's 10 to 20% usually. So that's the thing about in life too, is if we go through our lives every day trying to convince people to love us or trying to convince people to engage with us, how much energy are we wasting when we could just focus on those 1,000 loyal fans those 1,000 people who really want to engage with you.
Yeah, so talk about the 1,000 loyal fans, because that's that came from somebody else, right?
Yeah, it's I forget who it was. There was a book. If someone remembers the book where the 1,000 Raving fans came from, it was from rock. It was from some rock band. I forget who it was. But the 1,000 Raving fans, what they said is all you need is 1,000 Raving fans, because 1,000 Raving fans will beget other fans and other fans and other fans, and you don't have to do the work. But also, one of my mentors early on said, you can make a lot of money if you have 100 people who like you, but if you have 1,000 people who love you, you can get rich. So, the focus is you got 7 billion people on the planet Earth. If you can't find 1,000 people who love you and want to engage with you and buy and participate in everything that you do, you probably need to rethink what you're doing.
Yeah, so, going back to kind of what we talked about yesterday a little bit is casting that net across an audience that's really wide. Like, in some cases, it works, but what we're actually looking for is those 1,000 raving fans that you can come bring into your fold, and they'll buy from you over and over and over again. Like, if you have 1,000 people that will buy anything that you put out, like, you've hit a gold mine.
Yeah, think about it. Just simple math, right? If you have 1,000 people, and let's say you have a membership or some product, one product that you sell each month is $10. 1,000 fans, $10 product, that's 10 grand per month, and that's plenty for most people to live on very comfortably.
Right.
And if you have a $20 product that they buy, or they spend $20 with you each month, it's 20 grand. It's really simple math, and I love simple math, and we've talked so much about how I love to keep things simple. I love to keep things really focused on the simplicity of how can nearly anybody do this. And so it's really just about that. And we talked about one-page moneymakers. We talked about RPS. We talked about ultimate back end. We talked about the funnel of no escape. All of these things are based on super simple premises. Now,
RPS, by the way, is repeat profit systems, for if you didn't watch yesterday's.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll try to not use acronyms and abbreviations that you may or may not know, unless you're one of our 1,000 raving fans.
Yeah, which you might be.
It's cool. I see a couple right here. But man, we love you guys. Thank you so much for showing up each morning, first of all. But as part of the 1,000, I keep looking down at my toggle this morning for some reason. I'm feeling really naturey today. Like, I woke up and there was a beautiful sunrise behind us. You can't see that because of the trees and the mountain and stuff, but the sky was just like painted beautifully today. And it's really got me thinking about a lot of stuff. Yesterday, actually today's lesson talks about the soul. It talks about the fact that the soul carries no wounds. It's the body and the ego that betray us. I actually used that one this morning. I really enjoy that. That was some interesting insight that I came up with last night. My mind was just going.
We had a really deep, good conversation last night about self-sabotage, because I'm doing research for a course that I'm putting together that talks about self-sabotage, but I don't really like all the stuff that's out there, and so we had a deeper conversation of what is our deep understanding of self-sabotage.
Yeah, and we came to the conclusion, actually we came to the theory. We still need to dive into it a little bit more, but the theory to us seems to be that there's no such thing as self-sabotage, because your true self is your soul. That's yourself, and your soul is never going to sabotage what it's doing. So saying self-sabotage is a bit of a misnomer, because there's no such thing as self-sabotage. Well, and that's where that today's lesson came from, that it's the body and the ego that actually sabotage the spirit and the purpose of the soul. Mm-hmm. And again, I want to dig deeper into that, but that feels so right to me, that we're here on earth to learn through this body. And somebody's yelling and having fun.
It's time for school to start, so you might hear some noises in the background of kids running down the hills. And
but words are super important. Mm-hmm. And in exploring words like self-sabotage, one of the things that you can come to believe is that you get in your own way, and you make things happen that stop you from doing what you need to do. Mm-hmm. And if we take a step back and look at it like you have a soul, and this is your soul. The soul is who who you are really in this little meat puppet kind of thing that you're stored and housed and protected within is how you experience the world. And this is not really me. This is the body that my soul chose to be in for some reason. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, this is the expression that you're
Yeah.
that you're having right now. But see, the cool thing is that we got into for the past 4 years in Georgia, in Atlanta, we met Dr. Georgia and went through 4 years of what's called NSA chiropractic healing with her. And what she taught us is that things that you put in the back of your mind that you'll deal with later, you're not sure how to deal with now, you'll just put them away for now.
Yeah, you don't have the tools for it for some reason.
Right.
Like,
So
whatever it is.
So what happens is that the back of your mind is actually your spine, and so all of the
So think about that physically.
Yeah.
I just want you to really digest that for a second and realize that the back of your mind is your spine. Just think about that. Not only is that like metaphorically true, but it's physically true as well. The back of your mind is your spine. So go ahead with the rest of that.
Yeah, so as you come across things that you don't know how to deal with, that cause you stress, that cause you pain, that you just don't have the right tools and the strategies to actually work through, you haven't been given those tools yet. So you put them in the back of your mind and they hole up. And
well, part of it is, or you hope, maybe hope is a better word in some cases here. You hope that at some point in the future, or you trust that at some point in the future, you'll find the tool to deal with this thing. But until then, I'm just going to store it back here someplace. And science has proven to date, finally, that you actually do store memories and things in other parts of your body besides just in your brain.
yeah,
So.
and so it's the emotions behind it, it's the stress, it's those particular types of things that get caught up in your spine and cause you tension and cause your spine to become misaligned and hunchback. You know, there's like people that walk around like this. You wonder what they've experienced in their life and what kind of stressors and stuff that they've gone through that they haven't been given the tools to be able to deal with properly, which as we were going through these years of therapy, there were very profound times where things would come up and, Dr. Georges gave us the strategies on being able to deal with these things. They'd come up, we'd have to deal with them, and they'd turn around and we'd process through them and they'd be, in a sense, healed.
Yeah, often we would go to an entrainment and the joke between us was that Dr. Georgia broke us because sometimes we got there, we went through the entrainment, we went through the process, and afterwards it's just like, I just want to go home and lay down and think about this and or go
Take a
work
nap.
out or go do something. I have to go process this that just came up because now I have the tools to deal with this thing and I can finally deal with it, but shit, it hurts,
Yeah.
It's like
Right.
deep down seated stuff coming up that you have to deal with that you've repressed for so long.
Because you didn't have the tools to be able
You
to
didn't
deal
have
with
the
it.
tools. Yeah.
So, one of the things that I learned in this process is right at the top of your spine, where there's a lot of people that get hunched over with stuff. And I also had a little bit of a hunch happening. And when I worked through that part of the process, I realized that that's where I held my shame. And if you think about it, when somebody shames you or you shame another person, the natural body reaction is to go in on itself, to protect itself, to hunch over, and it stores right up here in that top part of your spine. And so going back to self-sabotage, there's that part of, wait a second, is it really self-sabotage or is it the shame coming up and not knowing how to deal with that part because the body doesn't know how to deal with those particular stressors, doesn't have the strategies to be able to handle it in some way, and hasn't learned how to actually deal with it, and so it goes back into those patterns and stays stuck in that way.
So we actually were talking about what if shame is really just the body not having the tools to deal with something and feeling inadequate to the soul and the spirit.
Yeah.
I mean, how big is that?
Right.
I mean, that's huge. But what if shame is your body just not knowing how to deal with stuff, and it feels inadequate to the soul and to the spirit of what you're doing. I mean, that gives me chills just thinking about that, because I think that there's something huge there.
Right. And then going back to the 1,000 raving fans, if you figured this part out and you have the tools and the strategies to be able to deal with this part, and there's 1,000 people out there that need to be able to learn how to deal with that as well, so that they can get over their shame and you know, and their quote unquote self-sabotage, and get past that so that they can grow and move forward. You then become
their cult leader.
Their cult leader, their hero.
But cult is really just short for culture, so there's really nothing wrong with that unless you're doing bad stuff. But you know, just think about it like that they're your tribe. They're your tribe of people who said, hey, that person overcame the things that I know that I want to overcome too, and because of that I want to follow them and do what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're also achieving the things I want to achieve, therefore I want to work with them and see what we can do together. Yeah. Now that's the thing, is there's often no guarantee about what you will achieve with somebody, because maybe you're eager, maybe your spirit and your soul, this comes into this part too. Maybe the spirit and the soul is eager to move forward and do that thing with that person, but the body has other things in the way, and it holds you back. Holds you back from accomplishing those things that you really, deep down in your soul and your spirit and your passion, where that is, you want to do it, but your body's like, I want to, but I just can't do it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something you know or you don't know. Maybe it's something you know that's holding you back. Maybe it's something you don't know that's holding you back. Maybe it's something from 20 years ago that's holding you back. Maybe it's the people in your life that's holding you back.
And those are often called blocks.
Yeah.
And one of the things that, if you're experiencing some kind of blocks, you know that you want to get here, you're not sure how to get that, that's when you would really want to, if you find the person that is where you want to be, if they've figured out they have this particular strategy, it would behoove you to work with them one-on-one to really understand in depth what it is that they did, and how it can help transform that particular part of your being, of your block, and give you the strategies in your body, in your brain, and have everything start talking together so that you can actually have the strategies to move forward. And so when we go in and talk about like strategic thinking and strategic moves and stuff, it's giving you the tools to be able to get to that final point, because we've laid out the pathway for you, or somebody else has laid out the pathway for you, like whoever that is.
And I like to look at it like a suggestion, like, hey, this is how I did it. I invite you to consider this a strategy for yourself to do it as well, and hopefully it works for you. And sometimes it will, and sometimes it won't. I mean, it's just the same as when I choose to work with people. Sometimes I choose to work with someone and I love working with them, and I love them as a person, but what they're asking or inviting me to do just doesn't work for me. So I still get good out of that relationship, so I still value it and I still pay for it in the cases where I pay for it. And in other cases it's like, okay, well, this isn't going to work. Or sometimes it's like, man, this is exactly what I needed to hear to get me to the next level. Like recently someone introduced me to something that was so similar to what I used to do with the way I used to do marketing, called the Legend platform. It's in honor of my friend Ben Mack. He originally had something called the Legend platform, and he's no longer teaching it and invited other people to teach it. So I actually adopted that and modified it and added my own stuff to it, along with the repeat profit system and all the other things I've come up with, and just to supercharge the way that works, which is fantastic. So sometimes it's a trigger that says, wait a minute, I used to do this. And one of the things that we talked about yesterday is how much I've gone back through my own training materials to remind myself of what am I not doing that I should be doing right now. And the list is large. I invite you to do the same thing. Look back through the stuff that you used to do that worked. We as entrepreneurs, one of the things we love to do is problem solve. And in the absence of a real problem, guess what we'll do? We will break stuff so that we can solve those problems. And that's what a lot of us actually do. And sometimes when we think that there's information overload or whatever is going on in our life, it's not really that. It's just that you got away from your core. people seem to think that when you're working, and I don't subscribe to this at all, follow your passion. Well, my passion is taking care of myself, my friends, and my family.
And your 1,000 Raving fans.
And my 1,000 Raving fans, my tribe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I really care about, is taking care of myself, my family, friends, and the tribe. And beyond that, I still care, but that's not where I'm going to put my focus. And some people put focus on so many things, and I've got to do all this, and I've got to do that, and I've got to do this, and you know, I've got one person who's complaining out of 1,000. I have to take care of that person. Well, you don't necessarily have to. Did we talk about the 12% system?
No.
Okay, we'll talk about that at some point in the future. But the 12% system is something that I adopted when I was in the military. I carried it over to corporate, and I carried it over to my entrepreneurial life, so that I realized that I'm focusing on the right things and the right people at the right times. And our 20-minute timer is up. Is there anything you want?
Coffee is almost out.
Coffee is almost out, or cold. So that 20 minutes worked out pretty well, I think.
It did.
Yeah. So in the future, we're going to have this really cool big sand timer, and it's going to go on the table. But right now we have a digital interpretation of a sand timer, which is not quite the same, but it works really well.
No, we don't have. They don't have the visual because the timer is turned towards you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to keep that to myself. That's my own little secret. But anyway, do you have anything to close with?
I think this was really. I think it was really good. I enjoy our conversations, and I hope you guys do too. But with the 1,000 Raving fans, it's really cool to look at. Wait a second, you know, I want to impact the world. I want to do really good things and change the world, but that can be a really, really big task, or seem like a really big task, and can stall you out in your mind because it's so enormous. But when you bring it down, you break it down into, hey, who can I serve today? Who can I really change today? Is it one person? And building it up to 1,000 people, to where that's your goal, it will grow naturally from there. But getting that core tribe of people and having that be the core of who you really serve, that will serve you just as much as it will serve your tribe. So being able to really get down and hone in and focus on what is it that these core people need, and know that the people on the outlying skirts will naturally gravitate towards it as well, because, oh wait, they recognize that's what they need as well.
Yeah, and just in closing with that, Robert Allen told me one thing too about the crowd. He said to just consider your haters or the lukewarm people like they're unripe fruit.
They're not ready for you
They're
yet.
not ready for you yet, and at some point they might be ready, and they may or may not ever be ready. They may always stay on the tree ripening, but never ripen to the point where they're ready for you. And that's okay. Focus on the ripe fruit, ripe, R-I-P-E. Focus on the ripe fruit, and that'll be your 1,000 loyal fans. That's what I like to call them. And that'll change your life, literally.
Yep.
So focus on you. My recommendation, and you can choose to interpret this however suits you, focus on you, your family, your friends, your tribe. That's it. A lot of people come into this. We talked a little bit about it the other day about, I want to change the world. I have plans for world domination. Well, that's cool. How about start with you? How about start with your world? And let your world be a reflection of what you want to change in the world. And
your tribe will naturally start coming to you because that's what they want also.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's it for today.
I know. What a great golden nugget for you guys to take away with. Okay, so we'll see you tomorrow
Thank
morning.
you.
Bye for now.
Love you guys. Talk to you soon.
Yep. Bye.
Thanks.
I don't remember how to end this. Oh, there we go.
What happened? Did you mess it up?
No, I just don't remember.